we went through a lot of analysis before acquiring TrapX and bringing it in as a service, because we felt that data protection and data security, like Indu was saying, is blurring and blurring. The lines are becoming extremely non-existent, right? If you go back a few years, it was all about backups getting encrypted, and you're held ransom for the key. So backups became an ideal recovery source for you. And then earlier in the day, you were mentioning about honeypots. Honeypots came into the picture, but honeypots are no longer enough. You need the smart sensors like what we were talking about here. It becomes part of our multi-layered approach, because this alone is not going to solve the problem. Backups alone are not going to solve the problem. You need to start bringing them together, because you need to stop the attacks before they enter into the environment, right? Now, very important point for us to consider is, how does this fit into our overall data protection strategy? We acquired TrapX about 4 or 5 months back in February, and we've already brought it out as a service. That's a lot of roadmap momentum for us. But this is just the beginning, right? Just imagine the possibilities for us. If you were to consider a situation where we already have advanced notification going to the security administrators, it is very easy for those signals to come to the backup administrators as well, and for them to start showing up the backups and ensuring that the clean copies are marked. We already have all that orchestration in place. So when we bring them together, you get a very naturally seamless, integrated, multi-layered framework to protect against ransomware and any bad actors fundamentally, right? So that's the direction in which we would be proceeding. We spent a lot of time talking about ThreatWise today, but just to put it in perspective, all of this comes together as part of Metallic. And Stephen, when he was introducing, talked about how he's been seeing Metallic from the beginning, how it has been growing. There's a lot of dimensions to growth, right? Today, we talked a lot about ThreatWise, but there's been equal momentum happening across the various other intelligent data services that Isabel talked about as well. Microsoft is a strategic partner. We recently introduced another important strategic partnership with Oracle Cloud. With that, we became the only DMaaS solution to protect workloads across 3 major clouds: Azure, AWS, and OCI. And what it means for the customers is, as they get into a multi-cloud strategy, as they get into a hybrid multi-cloud strategy, they have a single SaaS solution to protect and secure their workloads across all these environments. We have the broadest workload coverage when it comes to Azure PaaS. MariaDB, Cosmos DB, SQL Server, you name the database in Azure, we protect it. In fact, it's the broadest coverage among all DMaaS solutions. And all of this is reflecting in customer momentum. We introduced Metallic 3 years back. We're getting ready for the 3rd anniversary, 3rd birthday next month. In 6 quarters, since it actually became available to customers, we've crossed 50 million ARR, and we've also crossed 2,000 customers, and quarter over quarter, the growth continues. This is because of the simplicity and the practical aspects of data protection that we bring to the table. Isabel started with this, and I actually wanted to conclude with it, right? We want to be very clear that we are not a data security company. We are not replacing any of the perimeter tools. We are not replacing any of the SIM or source that Indu and Louis talked about. They are all essential. They are the NDRs, EDRs, everything is essential part of IT. What we are doing is, our closeness to data, our proximity to data gives us a very unique signal that we would like to pass back to the security ecosystem. Similarly, when the security ecosystem detects something entering into the environment, we want that advanced notification to go to the backups so that we are able to shore up the moat and make sure that recovery is clean and reliable. That bridge is what we are introducing with ThreatWise. It's a very high value, rich bridge, but that's how we see the ecosystems coming together as the future of data protection, right? So very often we get the question, so are you going to replace this security tool, that security tool? No. And we continue to be very squarely focused on data protection. It's just that data protection has expanded, and we are showing the way on how it actually needs to be done, right? So I know we went through a lot of concepts, so I don't want to take up more time, but happy to answer any questions, not just on ThreatWise, but overall on Metallic or even broader on Commvault.
One question on ThreatWise, is there, and maybe it's Metallic really, is there a free version that you can trial?
Always. So every service available in Metallic is available as a trial. It's a 30-day free trial. So
Really?
whether it is database backup or VM backup or ThreatWise, you just go to the service catalog, metallic.io. That's a URL that we like everybody to go to. Just click on the service and the trial will automatically start.
Ah, okay, great. And how is something like ThreatWise priced?
That's a great question. So ThreatWise is priced and metered based on the number of traps.
Based on a number of traps, not
Number of sensors.
appliances.
The number of sensors, no, not on number of appliances.
Wait, the number of sensors?
Number of sensors.
That means the pricing model does not incentivize broad deployment of sensors.
The pricing model incentivizes you identifying the right crown jewels to protect, and it's metered based on the number of traps that you deploy. Because if you were to look at any other meter, it becomes a little bit complicated, and Metallic is all about simplicity. So if you take our backup products, for instance, if you take Office 365 backup, we meter it based on the same meter as Office 365, which is the number of users. Database backup, same as database, terabytes. So we want to keep it very simple and intuitive. And the pricing is very attractive at a per trap level.
Yeah, so we have the volume-based pricing. So we have different tiers. So if customers get a lot of sensors, then they'll obviously be placed.
Just so I'm clear, he had a configuration for like Windows 2008 or something like that, and there were different services that could be enabled or disabled, different tokens. All that would be one trap. So for maybe
Each of those, each of
2008 R2, whatever, that would be one.
Yeah, that would be one sensor. So we count per sensor. So if they deploy a VM, if they deploy a Linux machine,
that's one sensor.
That's one sensor.
And then if there's a Windows 2008, that's one sensor. A forklift, that's another sensor.
We also provide recommendation on how. So to your point, it's not like the price is not an incentive. We provide recommendation on how many sensors we recommend you, but we do this also in a smart way, to Ranga's point, looking at what is the most valuable data, where you probably need to put more decoy around this one than others for minimum SLA. So we do provide guidance. It's not like you can buy one sensor and think you're protected. Of course, that would be delusional.
And in a sense, we have that knowledge when you consider it from a customer perspective. When customers say these are the assets that need to be backed up, they're already telling us that these are their crown jewels, right? And those are the assets that need to be protected with ThreatWise as well.
And historically, TrapX used to be priced on an appliance or a network basis. But what we heard from customers, and they didn't have that flexibility that if you have X number of sensors, we don't want to pay the full appliance price. So this is a better alignment into what customers really are deploying.
And the network intelligence piece of that, which was not necessarily a sensor, how is that? Is it priced? Is it part of the package?
It's part of the package.
Part of the package.
You don't have to.
We don't believe in nickeling and diming. It's
Yep.
Is there an emerging threats kind of component to this? Because I've had the thought a few times that it's very static in the setup. But does it have a kind of capability? Are you contemplating some kind of or something with, something like Heartbleed comes out and we all know it comes, and so the ports for that, or 1433, something pops up with that again, and it becomes very hot topic that you guys can kind of effectively in mass push down for things that would be relevant.
Yeah.
That it becomes an automated.
But the new model where the control plane is hosted, SaaS hosted and cloud delivered, we can easily deploy more custom traps. And of course, the customers can build their own traps as well, as Louis was explaining before. But yes, we can.
Okay.
And just to add to that, the network intelligence sensor also receives threat intelligence throughout the day. So for the 0 day, we will already have that in the appliance. It's pulling that in real time. Okay.
Yeah.
So the SaaS model, the fact that we could update that in real time, coupled with our own intelligence feed that we're pulling in real time, gives our customers, protection against that 0 day, visibility into that.
Yeah.
I would think as a learning model, although was set aside the fact that you're putting something in someone's environments that they may not necessarily, I'd love to see, like, if I was the putting in there, I'd want to put a super trap that you own that is the like ultra collector, because see what you was saying, admittedly, like we all, of course we want to be protected, but we also want to be price sensitive. And I would love to say, oh, I've got 7 versions of ESX. I've got a bunch of custom things. We got 3 brand new developed apps. Unfortunately, if it requires post-implementation that I have to think about, I'm going to add 3 new traps this week, and I'm going to add,
Right.
as I keep adding that up, it may fall out of like favor to keep adding more stuff. Not that it's not important, but humans with friction equals failure. And it's
Yeah, I mean,
we
this,
hate
look,
we don't fantastic technology, and we're hung on the price, which is kind of stupid, but humans are stupid.
So something that helps overcome that, we have built into the product a scorecard, so to speak. It will help validate. We chose the MITRE framework. It's very popular. It could be NIST, it could be MITRE, it doesn't matter. But we could say, based on the tactics and techniques that MITRE defines, you're protected. And that could be a few traps, okay? And we do that purposely for that use case. Someone says, how many is enough? Am I protected against these techniques? We'll tell you that because we do our own kind of like breach and attack simulation against our own
Heuristics.
traps, heuristics, to determine, yes, you are protected against these tactics and these techniques. And we report that within the interface to show you, yes, you're good to go. And it removes a little bit of that friction.
Great. Okay, no, so and that's so the ideal possible response. I know it's
Yep.
it's a what if scenario that's really hard to play out to its logical
but it's a
conclusion, but
It's a legitimate what if, because, and the reason why we put that in is customers don't always know. How do I know if I have enough? How do I know if I'm protected against X, Y, or Z? We'll tell you.
right, Joanne, who was the technical champion who brought the product in, left the company. We just think it's running fine. We don't update it. Joanne is gone, and they hire in Pete, and Pete doesn't know what to do. And then
We would be. able
and
to
and
help.
we're
Yeah.
also, we're
Yeah.
also with our data protection suite, we're in a unique position where we understand customers' data.
right,
So that's something that we'll definitely be leveraging moving forward.
How long would it take to deploy ThreatWise in a reasonable size enterprise?
I can take that. So getting set up as a customer, having access to our management interface is minutes, right? It's literally customers just logging in. And then the part of deploying the sensors, it's fairly simple, but I'd say, maybe
Minutes.
Yeah.
Truthfully, it's minutes. Give me an IP address, and I could have sensors up for you within minutes.